And I want to pivot now to another person that is driving me crazy because they're not understanding the seriousness of subject matter experts and doing what you're good at. Keep doing what you're good at. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the one and only Stephen A. Smith. That's who I'm talking about. And you want to know why? Because I saw Stephen A. Smith on ABC News saying this.
Are you really thinking about running for president? Is this something you think?
Listen, I've been. I have no choice because I've had elected officials, and I'm not going to give their names, elected officials coming up to me. I've had folks who are pundits come up to me. I've had folks that got a lot of money, billionaires and others, that have talked to me about exploratory committees and things of that nature. I'm not a politician. I've never had a desire to be a politician. I just signed a contract extension with ESPN. I am very, very
pretty
happy
good one, too.
With my day job. I'm very happy with my boss. This is a pretty damn good one. Just right. It's a pretty damn good contract. I couldn't be happier. But here's the reality. People have walked up to me, including my own pastor, for crying out loud, who has said to me, you don't know what God has planned for you. At least show the respect to the people who believe in you, who respect you, who believe that you can make a difference in this country, to leave the door open for any possibilities 2 to 3 years down the line.
Stephen A. Smith recently signed a 5-year, $100 million contract with Disney. Within that contract, there is an ability for him to do commentary in news and politics. He started his own YouTube channel. He started the Stephen A. Smith Show, and he's crossed over and even had some of the guests that have been on this program on his show. He's had Ellie Honig on, the former federal prosecutor, CNN legal analyst, talking about cases making headlines. He's had House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on his show. He had Senator Cory Booker on the program the other day. He's leveraging some of the relationships and back channeling the same way I'm doing it for our show, et cetera, to have these guests on his show. And the reason he's doing that, Nick, is because he has a journalism degree from Winston-Salem State that he used to tell everybody about. I was a writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer for over 20 years. He used to tell everybody about that on First Take. I have no issue with him doing news and politics on one lane and then going to a sports show and trying to explain why the Dallas Cowboys won't win the NFC East, even though we can get into whether or not he's failing or being good at both. The issue I have is we're in the predicament that we're in as a country where we have a lot of people who don't know ish, that think they know ish, and now they think they can run the entire thing and be the one that can actually decide how all of the ish should be done. You don't cut the line and jump straight to the top. I've mentioned this before. We have issues with RFK, right? RFK is running Health and Human Services. He's never worked in any type of healthcare industry in his entire life. He's not a doctor. He has no degree in any of that. Environmental lawyer. Now here he is running the agency responsible for Health and Human Services. So if you think Anthony Fauci with all his medical degrees was so bad, can I interest you in somebody who has no medical degrees and left a bear in the trunk of his car? That's what we're getting back to. We're putting those type of people in charge. And Stephen A. Smith doing this, again, I just mentioned journalism background, sports journalism, media, wants to start his own channel, wants to leverage relationships, wants to do interviews. He can do all that and he can structure it just like Nick and I have structured our show. I have no issue with that. My issue is you can't do both. This is back to the Bill Maher thing. You can't be this journalist asking all these serious questions, and then and then at night you're going to dress up like Batman and go fight crime, aka no, I'm going to be the president of the United States and I'm going to give a solve for how we get us out of Ukraine, and I know how to do that, and I know how to tackle immigration and all of the different titles. He doesn't know any of that, and he's not devoting the seriousness to the thing that he's actually a subject matter expert in. He has the degree; it's on the wall. It's a journalism degree. Keep using that. Stop doing this. Nick, am I wrong?
This feels like an interesting time to play a game. So, Mike, there are now currently, I think, 46 presidents. Or 40. There have been 46 presidents, some of which obviously have served more than one term. So, but among this group of people, Mike, how many of them did not have any political experience becoming president? How many U.S. presidents did not have any political experience becoming U.S. president? Go.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. Political experience, I'm assuming it means something local, state, worked at a federal agency, whatever it is, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to say the only person that I can think of, I know a lot of people who have run for president who have not had that, but I think it's only two people, if I'm not mistaken. Donald Trump, and I forget who the second person is.
It's close. The answer is 5. Zachary Taylor, 12th president, Ulysses S. Grant, Herbert Hoover, Dwight Eisenhower, and Donald Trump. Which of these is not like the other, right? The difference, though, is that in the case of Zachary Taylor, Taylor served 41 years in the military. Grant was commanding general of the U.S. Army, obviously most notably during the Civil War. Eisenhower was just, the lowly supreme commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force in World War II. So while these 5 gentlemen did not serve office, that's actually the qualifier here. Did you actually serve any office? But they had some form of experience other than Donald Trump, who basically before becoming president, the last actual role he had was that of a TV show host. There have been some other examples of people who haven't served a whole lot of time. Reagan was governor of California for 8 years. That's viable. Washington was the delegate to the Continental Congress for 2 years. Andrew Jackson was a senator of 3 years, total of 3, served 2 and then served 1 or vice versa. I bring all these names up because in some form or another, these people have served. I've always brought the example of Harry Truman because Truman, I always thought, had very little political background before becoming vice president under FDR. But I'm wrong. He was a senator for 10 years. Not too long ago, Mr. Smith had said something about not even wanting to run for local office, not run for Congress. No. He's got to go right. He's got to go right to the top. The arrogance of that. Even John F. Kennedy, whose father particularly, was pushing for him to get to the national spotlight, at least knew enough. He's got to be a congressman. He's got to be in the House. And then eventually got into the Senate. Even the Kennedys knew, well, maybe not this particular one, but even the Kennedys knew that you just can't wake up one day and be president of the United States. But Stephen A. Smith from Hollis, Queens knows better. He seemingly knows better than the 45 other or 46 people, all these previous presidents simply don't know something that Stephen A. Smith does. The funny thing is Smith uses a tactic that Trump does, where you throw out all of these accolades and you attribute them to nobody. Well, everyone's telling me I should run. Who, Stephen A., who? This isn't journalism now. You can name names. That's okay. This isn't the NFL where, the draft where some idiot executive says, well, I'm not going to draft this guy. So go ahead and name names. Other than your pastor, apparently. It's foolishness. Other than Obama, after Obama, the next president we've had, who's now come back to being president, had no experience and just basically was a host of a TV show. And now we're going to go to another guy who has political aspirations who can't even be bothered to run for Senate. But Stephen A. too good for that stuff. Nope. We're going to go from arguing with Kendrick Perkins about whether LeBron James is the greatest of all time to deciding whether Iran should have nuclear weapons.